Hello parents and students, my name is Mr. Giomini. I will be your math teacher this year. I'm looking forward to meeting you both at open house on the 20th and also the first day of school on the 22nd of August. First thing, we're going to call this course Common Core Math 6. Now parents and students, this is a little bit of a change from what we talked about in May. No longer we call it pre-algebra. We're going to kind of try to create a nice bridge here, a connection between Troy and Learwood. And since Learwood is going with calling classes Common Core Math 7, for their math courses, we're going to kind of keep that uniformity and call it Common Core Math 6. Also too, with some change in leadership at the building, obviously Ms. Kogan leaving, Mr. Peltz coming in, we had some nice dialogue, some nice discussion with Mr. Peltz, the three math teachers here at Troy in 6th grade, and also with obviously with Mr. Peltz. And we didn't want to give anybody the false sense that if we call this course pre-algebra that means every student's going to take Algebra 1 next year. They don't offer Algebra 1 in 7th grade at Learwood. So we didn't want to give you that false sense that, oh, well, my kid's taking pre-algebra this year, they'll take Algebra 1 next year. Now, the content of the class has not changed, just the name. There will still be the same assessments, same rigor, etc. It's just the name change. And we think it'll better fit what's transpiring in the classroom and also, again, that connection piece to Learwood. Some of the materials that your student will have this year. Now I put Holt Math Course 2 and I put a textbook with a question mark next to it. A lot of these textbooks came from Learwood because they were using it with their 7th grade math, but because of the change in the standards with Common Core, obviously a lot of the things they did in 7th grade is now being passed on to 6th grade, so we thought it'd be great to use their textbooks. Unfortunately, they only had about 140. We have 318 6th graders at Troy. So obviously we don't have to be math wizards here to figure out that those numbers don't match and gel well. So my stance on this, though, is it's not a concern, and I hope it's not a concern of yours. And the reason why I say this, for the past 5 or 6 years, when your child's been dealing with everyday math, they have not had a textbook where they actually did homework out of the textbook. So we will occasionally use textbooks in class. You will see them come home from time to time to do assignments in it, but it's not like they're going to have their own textbook all the time, which is okay. We will also have Envision, which is a supplemental material we'll be utilizing this year. You may see something from Envision once a week, maybe bi-weekly. It all depends on how closely it correlates to what we're doing in class and if it's a nice resource to kind of strengthen and support what we're doing in class. I put pretest down as materials. Your student will take a pretest to begin every single chapter here in 6th grade mathematics and Common Core Math 6. The pretest is a great tool. It helps us, the teachers. Once we analyze the results and the data that is given to us, we can kind of see maybe what skills we don't have to work on as much because the class as a whole really has a firm understanding on it. It'll also see any gaps that we need to really address and work with the students on. It's just a nice way to help us see the class as a whole, but also to give individual snapshots of every single student and maybe any kind of reinforcement or differentiation we do within that chapter. And you will also see, and it's a great study guide because the pretest looks a lot like the post-test at the end of the chapter, so it's a nice study guide that'll carry through the entire chapter. You may purchase a mathematics notebook for $2. It's not a requirement. I do recommend it, but again, nobody's going to lose points or no one's going to get any less of an education without this notebook. I'm sure many of you have already purchased notebooks for the school year. Those are sufficient. The notebooks we sell here at Troy, they're with graph paper inside, which sometimes helps kids better organize their numbers and makes it a little cleaner as far as kind of following the flow of their work. But again, not a requirement. I have the class blog here as the beginning, middle, and end of the day routine. Every morning I will have a post already on the blog before your student ever comes to school. Now, I would say that happens 98% of the time. There are a couple days when I get lazy, I guess, and it doesn't happen, but 98% of the time you will see a post. First thing you'll notice here on the blog is a calendar. The calendar will let you know of upcoming dates, as whether it's conferences or there's a day of school we don't have school, like Labor Day, etc. You will also see every single day the evening practice posted here. So if your student has me for Common Core Math 6, you will see their assignments posted right here in this calendar. To the right hand side here, again, my contact information, a daily absentee document. Here, if your student is absent, they can click here and see exactly what we did in class and anything they have for evening practice. I tend to try to post a a PDF of what we did. If there was a handout to go with the class, or there's a handout for reading practice, I tried to post it here so that if you weren't here, you could print it off from home. And that way you don't have to make the trek from wherever you live to Troy to get in, get materials for you that your student may miss. Gradebook Wizard, I think you're all familiar with. Khan Academy, I'll get to in another slide. The mathematics syllabus, that kind of takes everything I'm talking about and makes it a little bit more robust. What I'm trying to just make very general today in this video. Retake forms. If your student, or you for that matter, are not content with the grade on a post-test, there is a procedure that they can follow in order to take a retake to replace that grade with a grade that they do another assessment on. A great way to kind of, again, relearn material that maybe they didn't understand the first time around, and also to help that grade out. But really the end all is to really get that student to understand the content. We don't all learn it the first time around. Sometimes a retake helps us really understand the material that much better. And it's a great way to really stress the importance of practice and asking questions in class prior to an assessment. You also see here the other blogs that you can access. Mr. Hartwell's blog, Team 6B, which is the team that I'm a member of, along with Mrs. Moore, Miss Spagnola, Mrs. Demko, Miss Scott. Again, we'll be placing Mrs. Demko until January. Mrs. Spagnola's blogs here, Miss Banjoff's blogs here, and Mrs. Demko's blogs here as well. You can follow this blog via email. You could submit your email address here, and you will get a daily email Monday through Friday of what I posted to the blog that day. So then if you're sitting at work, you're sitting at home, and you want to see what Johnny or Susie is doing in class that day, boom, you have it. You can see we have some transparency between home and school, so there's no tricks, there's no hiding. I want to be very clear about what I'm doing in class, and that way hopefully it alleviates any questions you may have and clarifies anything that you may come across with your student. I don't know what I did today in class. Well, let's go to the blog and take a look at what the learning goals were. And those will start being posted. The class topics that I put every single day, those start being posted on Thursday, and they're usually posted around 3 o'clock in the morning, so you can always visit the blog before you come to school and take a look at it. The reason why I also call it the middle of the day is because during class I will have that posted as well for the students. We could talk about the learning goals, and then at the end of the day when you're at home, again, it's just a nice refresher of what we did in class. Khan Academy that I did really discuss. Let's go a little more detail. Your students should be a little familiar with it from last year. I do know that the 5th grade students use it. This is kind of the dashboard that your child will see for Khan. This is the skill progress, so I can see every single skill your student attempted at home, any video they may have watched. You can take a look here. This is what it kind of looks like for me as the coach. I can see what skill they did. So this is me doing 1-digit addition. You can see I did 20 problems. The blue bar indicates I had it right. The little camera up here indicates that I watched a video to kind of help me review 1-digit addition. If there was a problem that was wrong here, it'd be a red bar. I could click on it. I could see what answer your child chose. I could see how many times they chose an incorrect answer. I could see if they asked for any hints. A great deal of information here. It's a great resource. Like I said, there's videos for just about every single topic. It's a wonderful resource, and your child will see this on a weekly basis, assigned for evening practice or things of that sort. Also, too, here's the evening practice. I've used that word a couple times. You may be used to calling it homework. I just call it evening practice. It'll be assigned every night, Monday through Friday, and also on the weekends. Evening practice assignments will take on various forms. It could be a handout that I get the students in class. It could be a blog post. It could be a Khan skill, or it could be a Google form. I also give a 1 point for an evening practice being complete, a half point if it's not complete, or if it's the student just obviously just kind of rushed through it on the bus, realized on the way to school they didn't do it, so I'm just going to write any number down and see if that flies. Well, it won't. They can show it to me later that day for full credit, and I will make the adjustment in Gradebook Wizard. Assessments. We have a pretest that begins each chapter. I talked about that. We have midpoint quizzes. Those are a good opportunity to assess and prepare for the post-test. That's where the 3 mathematics teachers in 6th grade kind of determine, well, what's a good stopping point for this chapter? What's a good halfway point where we can assess, see if we need to reteach any skills, see if we need to pull out some small groups and hit some kids with some reinforcement or some supplemental materials to help catch them up. Those are always worth 10 points in the post-test. The summative test is always worth 100 points. That's the end of the chapter. Finally, questions, comments, concerns. I am great with email. I'm good with phone calls as well. This is not my cell phone, although I wish I had it. Look at those numbers. Like I said earlier, I believe email is probably the best way to get in contact with me. The ringers are in the classrooms are shut off during the instructional day, so I typically don't get the voicemail messages until the end of the day. I do check emails religiously during my prep period, also during lunch. So, and I'm able to quickly respond to you if it really is necessary. Okay, thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to a great school year. Take care. Bye-bye.